And there we are. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Iris. Would you like to pray us in?
Good morning, Lynn. Yes, I'm going to pray us in. Good morning, everyone. And I'm going to pray us in. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent Him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because He who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever He wishes, knowing He goes there with me. I will be healed as I let Him teach me to heal. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Amen.
Uh, and good morning, Dove. Good morning, everyone. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put our reading up in the room. We are in chapter 3, the last section called The Innocent Perception. And the section is called Creating versus, let me see what it is. Creating versus self-image. So, and we are on paragraph 3. So, who would like to read paragraph 3 for
All right.
us? Great, thank you, Rafi.
We have discussed the fall of separation before, but its meaning must be clearly understood. The separation is a system of thought real enough in time, though not in eternity. There you go. All beliefs are real to the believer. The fruit of only one tree was forbidden in the symbolic garden, but God could not have forbidden it, or it could not have been eaten. If God knows his children, and I assume, and I assure you that he does, would he have put them in a position where their own destruction was possible? The forbidden tree was named the tree of knowledge, yet God created knowledge and gave it freely to his creations. The symbolism here has been given many interpretations, but you may be sure that any interpretation that sees either God or his creation as capable of destroying their own purpose is in error. Thank you. Well, that's so clear.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rafi, for that. Yeah, it is so clear, right? Uh, have we asked the question, why would God put a tree in the garden and tell us not to eat of the fruit of it? You know, what kind of a crazy God is this to set us up like that? Because it is a setup, right? You know, all you have to do is, put a child in a room with a bowl full of candy and tell them, I'm going to leave this room. Don't you eat any of that candy. You know, most kids are going to eat that candy, right? They're not going to say, "Oh, mom said not to," unless mom is really aggressive and they know they're going to get in trouble real bad if they do. It's there. Why would you put it there if you didn't want someone to eat it? That makes no sense whatsoever. Dove, please go ahead. And
Okay.
then Ralphie.
Yeah, it's just like part of what the course is saying. The whole world is an attack on God. So even the Garden of Eden, which tells you, oh, this is how it all started, is an attack on God. I mean, and he's basically saying here, make no mistake, it never happened. Make no mistake, it never happened.
Exactly. And yeah, you can eat the candy. It's not going to hurt you. Rafi, please go ahead.
Well, right back to this. The ego concept made God the enemy because the ego creates, I'm a victim. That's the victim mentality of the ego. I'm a victim. So anything out there is a potential enemy, including that image of a God that the ego created, which has nothing to do with the reality of God. It has to do with how it projected an image that said that's God, and God's going to punish you. God, okay. I mean, I said it before in other meetings. When I was a little kid, the nuns always used to say, "You be good, or God's going to punish you." Well, if God ain't on my side, then where am I going to turn? Okay, and that's just a continually self-replicating or repeating a repetitious ego concept that it's separate, and we said it before, discussed the fall of separation. Okay, it's separate, and so everything out there, I need stuff from it, and I got to protect myself from it at the same time. So a lot of garbage, but that's how the ego mind functions.
It is a lot of garbage. That is how the ego mind functions. And just recognizing that, what kind of a God would do a thing like that? And but I believed it, and I wondered at the same time, why would God put a tree over here with something delicious on it and tell me not to eat it? I mean, you're just asking for trouble, right? You're just asking for trouble. But that's what this whole world is, a symbol of our decision that we wanted to have something that was not allowed, not something that was forbidden. And God, forbid us from, separating from him, leaving him. Um, why? Because we can't live separately from God. So why would he allow us to actually separate? And so we can't ever actually have separated. And there's no need to feel guilty for the thought that we have, because it's impossible, just as it's impossible for us to eat a fruit that is forbidden, because there is nothing that is forbidden.
God
Uh,
dwelt in me as me. Okay, the separation is an ego concept. God dwells within all as all. It's the only reality.
exactly. That's it. Does anybody else have any thoughts about this paragraph that they'd like to share? You can put your hand up or just speak up if you like. If you can't figure out where the hand thing is, which has been a problem for me. So, uh, all right, let's see. Iris, yes, please go ahead, my dear.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Rafi. I don't specifically have any thoughts about this paragraph as such, but I just had some ideas about how, like, everything that we seem to have learned is wrong. It's false. I mean, it's completely the opposite of truth. And I just find that just amazing. And I mean, even like small things, like I mean, just like a small thing, uh like something like I'm guilty because I didn't do something, or uh somebody or something put an expectation on me and I didn't do that, and now I feel guilty. And I mean, it's just like that's that's all. Uh, you know, like, we seem to find, uh, I didn't do something, so I'm guilty, and I should do better, or all this stuff, and and it's quite interesting. Like, even just from like very simple things, and I'm just glad that we have an awareness that none of that is true. I mean, even things like, oh, when like a simple thing like, oh, you didn't fill in that thing in the spreadsheet, and you should have done that. Like, and it's just really like just amazing, like, and it's just pretty mind opening. It's very very amazing, I must say. Like, and yeah, I'm glad it's not like that. I'm glad that the truth is not like that. It's pretty difficult to be living in that way. Like, if I eat from the Garden of Eden and all that stuff, like, and um the kind of stuff like, that our conditioning comes up with is pretty amazing. I mean, it's just really amazing. And I'll hand back to Lynn.
Thank you, Iris. Yeah, it's interesting. And I'm not sure, I don't think we've ever talked about that, but were you raised as a Christian or Muslim, or what is your cultural, spiritual background, Iris?
I think it's a mixture, and I struggled a lot because my family is very much like the family of origin is very much like very much Hindu, like uh very much Hindu. But we went to a Christian school, and from like a very young age, like 6 or something like that, and we were taught the Bible, and I struggled with the two, because we weren't supposed to quote convert, which is what I did from a very young age, quote, like, convert myself,
Mhm.
and like, and I really had a lot of conflicts going on because I think, uh, like, my parents were completely like, I should not convert and I should be very much in the traditional Hindu thing. And it's just recently that uh, my mom has developed a very, very open mind. But I mean, like, I think as I studied and as I like explored, and as like, as we do, like now I've come to a place where I'm very like, I know, like, it's none of those things. And like, I think it's a little bit similar to Lynn as well. Like, you've explored lots of different things, and but now like you're comfortable with what you've discovered in this life. Like that. Like, now I'm very comfortable with, I don't really have any like astounding questions. I just have like this amazement that, like, when I read things like this, I just am pretty amazed, like, how opposite to everything is what truth is. Like, it's just everything we've learned is just complete misunderstanding of what is truth. And so yeah, yeah, handing back to Lynn.
Oh, thank you, Iris. I just wondered because, different cultures have their different ideas about how we ended up being here in this apparent world of fear and form. And so, this is basically the Jewish slash Christian philosophy is that we were in the garden and that we had a forbidden fruit and we ate the forbidden fruit, and that is what gave us, put us where we are. And it's variably called the tree of knowledge, and it's also called the tree of life. That may be two different trees depending on what you're thinking about, or the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is really, what the tiny mad idea is. It's the idea that there are some things that are good and some things that are evil, and when I know that, then that gives me some sort of superiority or some sort of understanding of what I should do and what I should avoid and all those different things. But it's all this idea that God decided that for me. God put me here and said, here you go, here's your choices. And the fact is there's no choice. God never tempted us with anything. That this is all our own idea. Rafi, please go ahead, and then Dove. Go ahead, Rafi.
Look at the basis of all of this. God said this, God did that, God does this. When you're a little kid, they said God is going to do this, and God automatically, I mean, just look at the first sentence in the word separation. It said automatically, it says that God is separate from you. I mean, in a lot of religions, God is a man who lives in the sky with a beard, and that, like the whole George Carlin routine, he watches everything you do. And if you make one little mistake, he's going to put you in a place where you're going to burn in hell forever. But he loves you and he needs money. Um, as soon as you do that, God is separate from you. And separation is an ego concept. And hello, perpetual suffering. As soon as you do that, when we know that God dwells in us as us, that there is only the one, then all of that other stuff, you look at it, you see how ridiculous it is and how it's all just an ego concept. How can God be somebody or something or some entity or somebody that lives in the sky? How can God be separate as an ego concept? Separate is the formulation or the beginning of all suffering. Separate is the first and foremost lie, and as long as we buy into that, and most people do, they're screwed, to use the technical phrase. But I sometimes it just boggles me how, when I was a kid, they kept feeding me this stuff and feeding me this stuff. And then I looked around at all the other religions, and all the other religions are saying the same thing. And they, come on, somebody's got to get this right. Well, somebody did get it right. The masters got it right. Jesus got it right. Buddha got it right. Luster got it right. Yogananda got it right. Ramana Maharshi and the masters got it right. And they are here to show us that separation is a fallacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafi. Yes, exactly. That's the whole point right there. Uh, Dove, go ahead, and I see Pam has her hand up. So go ahead, Dove.
Let's say that Rafi got it right, and Pam got it right, and Lynn got it right, and Iris got it, and Regis, and everyone got it right. The reason I raised my hand is just to give a little clarity to it. Even though the story of Adam and Eve and the garden and all that does appear in the Old Testament, I who went to a Hebrew school, not too different than when Ken Wapnick went to yeshiva. Yeshiva is just a little bit more of the school, that's all. I can tell you, after years of going to Hebrew school, hardly anybody in the Jewish religion talks about Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Garden, they may discuss Cain and Abel. Maybe as like a reference of brotherly jealousy. But no one ever discusses the garden, the tree of knowledge, the apple. That never comes up. And the Jewish religion kind of starts with Abraham, who heard the Spirit of God speak to him. And that was the beginning of the Abrahamic religions, which includes Islam and Christianity. That's part of the Abrahamic religions. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Dov. Yeah, I did not know that. I because that was a hot topic in parochial school in Catholic school. Adam, Eve, and the snake and the apple, and you know.
It is definitely not in Judaism. Not it's hardly ever mentioned at all. If
Well, go ahead.
it all starts with Abraham, who of course was the father of Isaac and then Jacob and then Joseph, in the whole generations of, and Abraham also gave birth to Esau, as you know, which started Islam, and then of course from the house of David came Jesus. So the three religions all came from Abraham. So as far as Jewish teachers, they don't know anything before Abraham.
Very interesting. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Dov. Pam, please go ahead. Unmute yourself. Pam, you're muted if you're speaking.
Hi. Hi.
There we go.
Hi, everybody. My understanding, which may be incorrect, was that we live in time and we strive for eternity. And if we do, we go within, and then the Holy Spirit speaks to us. And I'm not sure we get knowledge, but we get true perception. So I thought that it's very rare that knowledge can be gotten. And I kind of think that the tree, it was forbidden because that's when we separated, really, and we lost knowledge. So and we were separated. We became separated, and when we did become separated, we lost knowledge, and we were only able in time, which is an illusion, to obtain perception, but the highest that we can attain here is true perception. That's my understanding.
Yeah, thank you for that, Pam. Yes. And it is really in as long as we're experiencing form or living in form, yeah, the only thing the highest level that we could get here is true perception, which is, no small thing.
Right,
Definitely no small thing.
But when they talk about knowledge, that's really, I know, I don't believe that because you bite off the tree of knowledge and you become separated. That's not knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like total ignorance. So
Right.
just the opposite of
Right.
knowledge.
Right.
Correct. Absolutely. Thank you, Pam. Sharon, please go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Dov, Dov, in the Jewish religion, they don't mention hell at all, ever, right? Because I never seen that in the Jewish religion. They don't talk about hell. I don't know where he went.
I'm sure he's just right there. He just muted himself. Maybe he got a call or something.
Yeah,
So,
because I always question that, because when I I was like older when I found out. Well, my parents would say go to hell a lot, but but they didn't in the religious. Like, I find it like scary. People in Christianity had to listen to their sins and that they get like children, like God will punish you. That's not something I heard even when I went to Sunday school. But again, I don't know because I was never a religious Jew. I just was traditional. So that's why I asked him, but I can ask him another time.
You
That's
know,
all. Thanks.
just from my understanding from when, of course, I was a Baha'i for several years, and we had our own teachings about this kind of stuff, was that the idea of hell came in when the Jews were in or around the Zoroastrians who had that idea, that concept of hell. And so it was something that they just kind of picked up along the way. But it wasn't any part of the scribal knowledge or any part of the written word or whatever it was. Um, it was
Well,
just an idea that came up from some other group that they said, "Hey, that's fancy," but it never was actually written in the Bible as such until um, Paul came around, or, or because Jesus, they say Jesus talked about hell, but uh, they did talk about what was it that they called it? Uh, it was another other like Gehenna or something, but it was like the city dump where they burned all the trash, and they would say, um, we're going to send you there. You're going
it's
to
just
have
like
to
the
go.
fact that you want to punish somebody is so like can't it's just so it's actually abusive. Because when you think about it, like God is love, and I was always confused because I never, you know, people use go to hell as this, but I never really like used it until I moved to Altoona, and a lot of people like that were Christian would talk about hell and stuff like that, and it would be like, why would anybody? But again, that's the ego, because the ego is in hell. So I guess that's why, it's because it does scare us all the time. So I guess that's it too. But I find that, as aging, I want to know a little bit more about Judaism, just because that's what I was born into, but not anything that it mattered because there's no sharing. It's just like this. I guess this falling away of the character, and also wanting to like be grateful for some of the things she came in with. That's all. Oh,
Yeah.
Dove's back. Dove, are you there?
Also, I was just going to say,
Yes, I'm here.
I wanted to ask you. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Lynn.
I just was going to say, I just looked it up and it says it's in many places. In Judaism, hell is a spiritual place called Gehenna, where people review their lives and atone for their misdeeds. It is not a physical place of punishment, but rather a place of cleansing and refinement.
Yeah, it
So,
just is more gentle, I think. I don't know.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I just like wonder, look, let's face it, every religion is separation. So it's not, but there's some beauty in every religion that can bring you to be hungry for this kind of teaching. So anyway, thanks, Lynn and Doug.
no, thank you. And Dove, did you want to answer her question? I see Rafi has his hand up too.
I didn't
Uh,
hear the question. I didn't hear the question.
oh, she was asking if there was in Judaism, if there was a concept of hell.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, Judaism looks at this world the same as the Course does. The world is anything that has to do with death is hell.
yeah, yeah. So thank you,
Well,
Dove.
no, the Course doesn't, because there is no death. The Course doesn't look at death as anything.
No, no, it looks at this world as hell. Definitely
The
uses,
world is hell. Yeah, Judaism
yeah,
does give you
yeah. The,
a
the Course
decent
uses the
picture.
word, the Course uses the word hell a few times, and it's always talking about our life here in this world.
Yeah,
Right. But when Rafi was explaining about what the nun said to him, he was a little boy. And I just think my husband's Catholic, and I think he also like was terrified when he'd go to church. He grew up in a Catholic church that was always talking about damnation and all this ridiculous. I just don't see that. Again, that's just me trying to make the world good when it's not. So, because it's not. So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, I've just put it all together. In this dream world, hell is a place. The world is a place. Heaven is a place, all separate from one another. And we're right back to the ego concept of separate. And as long as that's there, there's no reality to the truth of our oneness. We're separate from hell, but you can go there. We're separate from heaven, but you can go there. This world is separate from. In this world, we're separate from each other. No, no, that's real, and it's astounding that that's what this whole dream world that we live in is based on, and it's pure insanity. Whoa! Thank you.
Whoa, yes. And Elizabeth says, yep, I had a Catholic upbringing, hell, sins, punishment. Yeah, exactly. And again, it's the same thing as what you're saying. You find it confusing eating of the tree of knowledge. I find it confusing as well because and I found it confusing as a kid, and found it so confusing as a kid that I got in a lot of trouble over and over again because I just kept saying, why would God do that? When you ask those kind of questions, the nuns just didn't have an answer. They're like, it's for your own good, it's so you'll be good. And I'm like, well, that seems kind of dumb. Why would God tempt me and try to hurt me? And I did not get it. So I agree. It's seriously silly. So, any other questions or thoughts about that paragraph three? We'll move on to paragraph four. Um, so, and this is one that I'll have to move the page down so that we can get it all. But who would like to read paragraph four?
I'll take it.
Thank you, Rafi.
Eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge is a symbolic expression for usurping the ability of self creating. This is the only sense in which God and his creations are not co creators. The belief that they are is implicit in the self concept or the tendency of the self to make an image of itself. Images are perceived, not known. Knowledge cannot deceive, but perception can. Boy, they got that right. You can perceive yourself as self creating, but you cannot do more than believe it. You cannot make it true. And as I said before, when you finally perceive correctly, you can only be glad that you cannot. Until then, however, the belief that you can is the foundation stone in your thought system, and all your defenses are used to attack ideas that might bring it into light. You still believe you are an image of your own making. Your mind is split with the Holy Spirit on this point, and there is no resolution while you believe the one thing that is literally inconceivable. That is why you cannot create and are filled with fear about what you make. Well, this reminds me of what I was taught a long time ago, that the mind is a creative instrument. It doesn't even know it's doing it, but it projects the thoughts that then look like they're real, and then we buy into them saying, "Oh well, uh, I just that thing there. I either need something from it, or I got to protect myself from it." And all it is a creative projected thought. We take it as real. And this could be the start of something dreadful. Yes.
Thank you, Rafi. Yeah, I mean, this whole idea of self-creation, um, that is what Jesus called in the last section the authority problem. It's the idea that I could create myself. I can make myself in a certain form or a certain thing. I can make myself good. I can make myself bad. Um, and, uh, he says this is the only sense in which God and his creations are not co-creators. God is not a co-creator of the self or the self-concept that believes that it is sinful, that it can die, that it is that it can lose, that is separate. God is not responsible for that particular point of view that we have. We are the ones who think that we somehow or the other can have made of ourselves something sinful that could be separated from God. The idea that I could sin and truly do something that is against God's will, and to the point to where I deserve death and destruction. That's my idea. That's the ego's idea. That's God. God never had an idea like that, and could never have an idea like that. Rafi, please go ahead.
And we get right back to there is no I. There is no separate I. I wasn't born. I doesn't exist. I can't die. I this is an image. This is an image, a projected image. It's not real. And yet we base everything on this projected image is real. And so, coming from a point of view of, well, falsity, a lie, however you want to define it. But I don't exist. There's no such thing as a separate I. There's only the divine oneness of being, God, infinite being, however you want to designate it. You can't really designate it. You can allude to it, but until you know that you are it, because I have always been and will always be, you try to define it using words, but they, like Wesley used to say, you can the words allude to it, but you can't never really define it until you realize that you are it and have always been it, and there's never been anything else. There's no separate I. There's no me. There's no me.
Yeah. What a scary thought, huh? But what a relief. I could not have made anything that's the opposite of what God created. I cannot have made anything that's opposite of what God created. That alone, that concept alone should make you feel joyful, take away your fear, take away your doubt, just to know that I can't undo what God made. And I have never been able to undo what God made, and I can never undo what God made. That's it. So either I am as God created me, or I am as I created myself. And as I created myself doesn't exist, as you just so clearly pointed out, Rafi. There was no second creation on which the created suddenly decided that they wanted to be something else. There was no tree that said, there was no snake that said, eat of this and you'll find out what you really are. Uh, that never happened and could never have happened. But we do have doubt, we do have fear, we do believe that death can occur. All those thoughts are the thoughts that only came to us because we think somehow that we could have undone what God made. And, anytime I'm ever in a conversation, I talk to my sister who is Christian and fundamentalist Christian. And she will, go on and on and on about this and that and the other thing. And all I have to do is say to her, Elaine, who made us? Who made you? Uh, God made me. Well, did God make a mistake when he made you? Well, no, God can't make a mistake. So what makes you think that you can undo what he made? What makes you think you can be a mistake? What makes you think it's possible that you have the power to undo what God did? And, she'll say, yeah, but, this, and that. There is no yeah, but. I mean, it's absolute. Either God is all powerful or he's not. Either God made you what he wanted you to be or he didn't. And whatever your opinion, whatever your thought about it, that does not reflect on God. God does not hold that same opinion. God does not hold that same thought. Iris, please go ahead.
Oh yeah, thank you, Lynn. Yeah, like I was just thinking that that exactly what you were sharing and exactly what Rafi was saying, like about the I and the I. Like the I and the I. That reminds me of like something in the this my favorite quote in Upanishads. It's about that which is aware of that I. And I completely forgot about that. But what I was gonna say is that, like, I was just thinking that if there is no small I, that is the person. So if I just think about it this way, if like I was, let's just say that I was raised in North Korea or China, and I'm sure that the small I would be completely different. It would have like completely different characteristics, and uh, different likes and dislikes, different thoughts. And if the same I was in, let's say, for example, Iceland or somewhere, that quote, the personal I would be completely different, like with different sets of rules and ideas, and like it would be completely different, like really different. But I mean, the big I is still the same, like the I that is aware of Iris, or the I that is aware of any of us, like the one I. And like, I just thought of that because sometimes I do think about it, like, what would it be like to not be like Iris? Like, I mean, what would it be like to drop Iris completely? Like, but there is something that is aware of Iris. Like, there is something that is aware of Iris. So, like, to think about that, it's quite interesting. Like, that, yeah, that's true, because the likes and dislikes that Iris has today, like, doesn't like this, likes that, would be completely different if, like, so the I that God made is just great. It's the one I. And like, and then we made up everything else, depending on like where we where we landed, like if we it's very temporary, it's very changeable, and it's temporary, it's not going to be here for very long, like it's just temporary. And the same thing is with everyone. And so yeah, and I'll hand back to Lynn.
Thank you, Iris, for that. And what a beautiful summation of all of it. Because the thing that is always constant is the Christ mind, which is what we are in truth. We are the Christ mind in truth. We're not the variable person of Iris and Lynn. We are the Christ mind, and it's only these thoughts that make it seem like we're something different, or it's even possible for there to be something different. It's not possible. And that's, I think that the comfort of the Course in Miracles is it just basically telling us it is not possible uh, that time could have come to circumvent eternity, that something could have come to change what God made. It's not possible. And Elizabeth says that last sentence about fear to create um, and what was made have room for clarity within, because such fear, sometimes a contraction of pain comes with it. So yeah, why you can't create and are filled with fear is because we do believe that we are something that we're not. And he says it's not possible. It's inconceivable. I love that word, inconceivable. It reminds me of that movie, The Princess Bride, because that's what that guy keeps saying. It's inconceivable. And then the other guy says, I do not think that word means what you think it means. It's inconceivable. Let's see. So let's move on to paragraph 5. Who would like to read paragraph 5? Okay, Dove, please go ahead.
Okay. 5. The image can make the belief in separation very real and very fearful, and this belief is the devil. So yeah, it's like if I see something out there that's scary, like something can hurt me, somebody can harm me, somebody can kill me, I'm going to go into fear. And, the Course correctly calls fear the devil, because the devil is what keeps you in hell. And fear is what keeps you in hell. I mean, he tells you very clearly there's only 2 emotions. He said it would be very unfair to you if there was more than 2. One is love, which is what we are, and the other is fear. So when you're in fear, you have no idea what love is. You can't, because you're defending yourself, you're protecting yourself, and love needs no protection. That's why in my defenselessness, my safety lies. Goes on to say, it is powerful, active, destructive, and clearly in opposition to God, because it literally denies his fatherhood. So we think that we're all alone. I mean, that's the only reason I would be in fear. Who's going to protect me? Happy? I mean, I'm protecting Happy. So as long as you look outside of you for either protection or look outside of you for what can hurt you, you're dreaming. I mean, life is oneness, sameness, equality, where there's nothing outside of you. That's the changeless, eternal. Look at your life and see what the devil has made. Yeah, I can definitely see that, man. But realize that this making will surely dissolve in the light of truth. Oh man, I can't wait, because its foundation is a lie. That's true. That's what trust is all about. You can trust that nothing I see here means anything unless it's number one. Your creation by God is the only, keyword is only, foundation that cannot be shaken. That cannot be shaken. Your creation by God is the only foundation that cannot be shaken, because the light is in it. Yeah, when you're in the light, there's nothing outside of the light. When you're in the dark, there's a lot of shadows out there, and some of them are real scary. I mean, and they even want to go to lunch with you, and they're gonna talk to you about things that are not true, and they're gonna ask you, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And you say, yeah, because I can survive. So survival is a home of fear. Like Charles Darwin nailed it when he said, I can sum up this entire world of Homo sapiens and life itself is survival of the fittest. I win, you die. I live, you die. I don't care who dies as long as I live. So, the world is that kind of a place. It seems friendly. It appears, those words appears and seems, is the same joke that Jesus uses when he talks about the illusion. He said, it appears, it seems, yeah, right. It seems friendly. Your starting point is truth. So this whole thing is to love the truth. That was the purpose that drove me to both first est and then the course. Is after I had my spiritual awakening in 73, and I had left the world of the ego in May of 72, not 73, May of 72. I saw myself in a garden, and I was wearing a shirt that said, "Love the truth." And that became my purpose. Your starting point is truth, and you must return to your beginning. Much has been seen since then, but nothing has really happened. You can say that. That's why lesson one is the whole course. And today's lesson, we're on 11, right? I realize if you listen to the commentary that the FIP puts out on, I was listening to it this morning because Prudence plays it, and he said this is the beginning of your true learning. So in a way, he passes the first 10 lessons, and then says this is the beginning of your true learning. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. Of course, he encapsulates that in lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They all say the same thing. What you believe with a big lie is untrue. In fact, I just wonder if let me see if I can find this thing. I think I like to read it for everybody if I can do that for just 1 second. Here it is. No, I don't. Well, it says your belief. This is from Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. I know Irish. You know Gandhi very well. He says your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Oh, that's a good word. Your habits, your addictions. I get a lot of addictions. Your habits become addictions. Your habits become your values. Your values become your destiny. Signed, Mahatma Gandhi. So you can see how it all starts with a belief. I believe that this apple is not good for me, but I'm going to take it anyway because I like to deny the power of God and show that I'm better, I'm more. I can do this. Who's God anyway? Yeah, I'm me. You can't tell me. Your starting point is truth, and you must return to your beginning. Much has been seen since then, but nothing has really happened. I love that. Much has been seen since then, but nothing has really happened. Yourself is still in peace, even though your mind is in conflict. You have not yet gone far enough, and that's why you become so fearful. I haven't gone back to my origins. Oh, that's original, isn't it, Dove? Your origins, yeah. So you are the original, but you forgot that God created you. You think you made yourself. That's right. That's right. That's the only mistake I ever made. That's a biggie, Dove. That's a real biggie. You can't think that you are your own creator. I am still as God created me. Yeah. You have not yet gone back far enough, and that's why you become so fearful. As you approach the beginning with a big capital B, you feel the fear of destruction of your thoughts. Yeah, I mean, who who is Dove? If Dove didn't make himself up, maybe there is no Dove. Maybe Dove doesn't even exist. You feel the fear of destruction of your thought system upon you as if it were the fear of death. Don't worry about it, Dove. There is no death, but there is a belief. Is that a lie? Yeah, there's a belief in death. You got to laugh. You got to laugh. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for breaking that down, Dove. And yeah, that is it. It is the authority problem. The belief that I could have made myself. I'm not sure why I'm not able to comment on the room, but oh, maybe. Nope, it's not letting me. Anyway, so I wrote that in the chat. But yeah, it's a belief that I'm Lynn, and would I like to get rid of the belief that I'm Lynn and replace it with the knowledge that I am the Holy Son of God? That I'm the Christ? Well, yeah, that's theoretically, yeah. However, I kind of like this Lynn and I kind of like what this Lynn is up to. So, I have to make a choice. And it really isn't a hard choice because this Lynn is also fallible and weak and small and scary and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would want to see what I denied because it's the truth. The last unanswered question. You know, that's really what I want, but it appears that I want all I want is the peace of God. That's the conflict. What do I really want? Rafi has his hand up, and so does Iris. Go ahead, Rafi.
Without realizing it, Dove, in the beginnings of what he was saying, just described releasing perfectly.
Describe what?
Releasing. You
Oh, I
just
see. Oh,
described it without realizing that you did that. Because when you start going through the fear, you say, well, there's fear and then there's love. Love is what we truly are. Fear is a feeling. Well, we can get rid of that feeling because it's just a feeling and it came up to leave anyway because that's the way God worked it out for us through us. So it's perfect. Okay, what's the fear? What the fear is I'm a person and I'm going to die. Well, then there's the fear of dying. Well, let's get a hold of the fear of dying, which is wanting to survive, and allow that to leave and let it leave some more and let it leave some more. When that fear of dying is gone, who is there to fear dying? There is nobody there to fear dying. And I sit there and while you were talking, I just kept falling in love and falling in love and falling in love and falling in love because the reality of love kept striking me more and more and more. And then a feeling came up of resistance, and I welcomed that feeling, and I let that one go. And then another feeling of I don't like this the way this is. Don't tell me what to do, which is so typical of the ego. Don't tell me what to do. And I brought up that was a lot of wanting control, and I was able to let go of that feeling, and I felt more in love and more in love and more in love. So it's good. Talk about us being in sync. Talk about synchronicity. Woo! So obvious. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Rafi. Wow, beautiful. So profound, this sharing this morning. Iris, my love, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Dove. Thank you, Rafi. I was just thinking, like, it made sense, that it's true, that it's the personal thoughts that we think we are. Like, when it says that these thoughts do not mean anything, my thoughts do not mean anything, etc., etc. That's like the personal thoughts. don't mean anything. They don't. And like I just had the idea that yeah, they don't. They don't mean anything. And because we are not the person. And the second thing I wanted to mention is that I think it's very helpful, like to like some time ago, I was trying this Byron Katie, like really long time ago. And Byron Katie's method of the four questions. And I heard Lynn mention her last week. So I thought, let me try those four questions again. And like just from what I remember, I didn't want to listen to any kind of stuff, but just what I remember of the four questions, like keeping it very simple, like what is it that I'm believing right now? And is it true? And how do I feel when I believe this thought? And how would I feel if I didn't believe this thought? And what is the turnaround? And I did that on one or two things earlier this week. And it took a while. It took quite a while to just sit with it and just write it. And but it left me completely, and I couldn't remember. Like I was thinking about it, like what was it that was disturbing me, and I couldn't remember. And Byron Katie said, sometime there's one quote of hers, and it says something like, I don't leave the thought, it leaves me once I've questioned it. So anytime that we feel like just bad, I'll just use that word, like anytime that we don't feel right, it's something that we are believing, and it's something that has been just it's been there for like ages, like whatever that we may have learned in school or whatever, like I think it's very, very, very helpful. So I'll just hand back to Lynn.
Yeah, thank you so much, Iris, and it is so very helpful. Thank you for walking through that with Byron Katie with the work, because yeah, that's it. Is it true? Is what I'm saying, thinking about myself or the world or this situation? Is it true? And if you really look at it, no. How could it be? How could any story that I have about the world or or separation, how could that actually be true? But even if you don't go that far, even if you just look at it and say, is it true? You're going to start questioning, where did I come up with that idea or that thought? And who would I be without that thought? What would I be like? What would my life be like if I didn't believe the things that are bothering me that I think are true? And you come down to a place where you just I would be in peace and I would be happy. And then the question then, the turnarounds are so important. I used to think, I don't want to do that turnaround. I don't like that, asking, how am I doing this? And, I don't like that at all. Well, no, ego does not like that because when you start turning it around and looking at where I'm doing the same thing, and look at all the cases where I have, condemned people or been angry about something or been afraid of something and all that kind of stuff and realized that I was doing the same thing. It's not nice. It doesn't make you feel like, wow, I'm a good person. It really, for me, it makes me feel like, wow, I have got a lot to work on. I'm really flawed in a lot of ways, but that's okay. It's not like, I'm condemned because of it. Because it's not true. Again, back to that, is it true? It's not true about me. It's not true about anybody. So there's nothing to fear, nothing to worry about, nothing to imagine is going to go wrong or cause a problem. So, being able to do that with and as you're right, I'm going to stop the share because our time is up. But you are absolutely right, because this has happened to me as well, Iris. I would start thinking, what was I upset about this morning? And honest to God, think as hard as I can, I can't remember it. And I was like, am I getting Alzheimer's or something? Is my memory something going wrong in my mind? No, I'm not. It's not, it never was. And so it doesn't exist now. It never was and it isn't now. That is the truth. So, does anybody else have anything that they'd like to share before we close out?
Yeah.
Yeah, Doug, please go ahead.
Okay, I think I may have broken the code. I say that because to me, the tree of knowledge, the Garden of Eden, eating the apple, the knowledge, and all that. What does it all mean? Everyone gets a different meaning, and I think I broke the code. I really do. This I put up in the chat. Richard Dawkins, some of you know who he is. He wrote the book River Out of Eden, that basically says that the same thing that Charles Darwin said in the 19th century, that all of life eats upon each other. We're all predators eating on other animals, and basically gets down to survival of the fittest. That's the name of his famous book, the human species, or the species of mankind, or whatever it's called, survival of the fittest. Now, Dawkins, who was like a 21st century, although he started in the 20th century, is the leader of that entire thing that says your DNA actually determines everything. There is no God, and that's what the tree of knowledge is all about. There is no God. I can determine for myself. I want to live. I don't care who dies. And that's exactly what the tree of knowledge is all about. It's the idea that I am the authority, and I just want to pass it on. I mean, I can go on with that, but it came to me that I mean, the River of Eden by Richard Dawkins. If you know that whole culture, there's a huge culture that believes that there is no such thing as spirit and God. The only thing that exists is DNA, and that everything that you do is driven by your DNA, and that's the opposite of God is the creator.
Yeah.
By,
Well, and the DNA actually that is the code. You're right, and it is the script. The script is written in the DNA. The
yeah,
script is written in the DNA, and it's true. That's why we do what we do.
that's
That's
right.
why everything we do, because it is in our DNA. But that DNA is a false thing. It's not the truth of what we are. And
Exactly.
how they can look at that and say, well, I can see it, so it's what I am. Well, no, if I can see it, it must be something outside of me, something separate from me. If I can see it, even if I can see it in my own thinking, I can see that that's not really my thought either, because who is the I who's seeing it? Who is the I who's looking at this? It's got to be a different I than the one that it's looking at. The subject and object can't be the same, because that's not how the reality of the world works. So uh,
I'm answering Elizabeth. You don't do anything with it at all. Elizabeth says, so what do you do with that? I get it many times, but there's nothing. I need do nothing is the whole idea of A Course in Miracles. If you think you have to do something, you're right back into the DNA. The DNA does.
yeah,
The Son of God is the being of love. Love doesn't do anything. It just is. Come Monday morning, isness is your only business. Isness and love is the same thing.
yes, yes. And I want to talk about that too, that come Monday morning thing. Rafi, go ahead, and then Pam. So go ahead,
In the
Rafi.
Garden of Eden, the snake was the ego. Go ahead, eat the fruit. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, eat the fruit. Eat the snake was the ego. If you want to get, if I get anything out of that, that's what I got from it. Um,
Yeah.
and that's what that was the lesson that was meant to be taught.
Notice it's a whole blame game.
Right.
The snake made me do it. No, Eve gave me the apple. Look, if Eve didn't give me the apple, I wouldn't have eaten it. It's a
I'm not responsible.
blame, shame, guilt. That's it. I'm not responsible. I just did what people told me to do.
So
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Pam, please go ahead.
Oh, I just want to thank you and Dove and everybody. But that's interesting because the DNA is the ego. And the ego, to me, it's we all have the same, we're different DNA, depends upon, you know, our ancestry, but that is really neat. And I never thought about it that way. But thank you. Uh-huh.
Thank you for that, Pam. Yeah, I mean, it just logically makes sense, doesn't it? I love that. It's the end of our time. I did want to say, because Dove mentioned it and I had forgot to mention it, Mandy is going to be on a different channel on Monday. Mandy has asked to be given her own uh, platform. So she and Joni are going to be using a Zoom room that Joni has, and Mandy has sent out emails to everybody that I thought was on my list. I'm not sure if everyone got an email from Mandy. She'll send it out again. I will forward it to everyone as well. Make sure that everybody has it. But she's going to be doing her own YouTube channel and her own uh, Zoom room. So, and I'll be here to guide people to the Zoom room uh, when uh, uh, when Monday comes up. But if you didn't get an email from Mandy, uh, I will make sure that you do get one from either me or Mandy. So, anybody else? Pam, did you want, or is your hand just still up?
Oh, I'm sorry. It should
That's
be
okay.
down.
That's all right, honey. You're fine. I just didn't want to close out with if you still had a question. So
Oh,
I
lower
closed it
hand.
for you.
No, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, very good. All
I,
right, you guys.
I just want to say we ought to celebrate the opening of Mandy's thing. Somebody please bring the song Mandy by Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow's Mandy will open up Mandy.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. You came and you gave without taking. You know, that's what that song says.
That's right.
Oh, Mandy, you came and you gave without
She
taking.
knows the lyrics. Wow.
Oh yeah, I'm a Fanilow.
Oh, wow, you're a fan of Wow,
I'm a
wow.
Fanilow. Yes.
Please,
Mickey, please go ahead.
let's play it on Monday morning. Really.
I'd love to do that.
All right.
Go ahead, Mickey.
So are you going to just play a tape or something in that slot
No,
over here?
I'm going to go to her Zoom and play I'll be on her Zoom.
And you're going to broadcast that Zoom.
Broadcast that through.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay. I got
yeah,
really confused there for a second.
yeah.
Okie
Oh, me too.
dokie.
Yeah, yeah. It's all a lot of figuring out how things work. So, we'll do it though. All right, you guys. I love you.
Mickey, is
Yes.
is it snowing in North Carolina?
It Snowmageddon happened. We got about a half an inch of snow, or maybe a little bit more, but
Uh,
and then it turned to sleet, and now it's ice, and so it's twice as treacherous because now it's just like a skating